Good afternoon. Well, I've been down here pulling up some prickles that have come up in the last couple of weeks since we've had all that rain. Gone through the old patches. Here's my whole bucket of prickles that I've got so far. Yeah, thought I'd do a quick trip. Well, the sun wasn't out, although it's just come out now. And anyway, I've opened the gate, of course, to come into the paddock, and the horses were up on the hill. Anyway, they saw me down here and decided to come down, and were cheeky enough to push the gate and then wriggle around it to get into this paddock, which they haven't been in for a while. But just look at that. They just love coming into a new paddock and grazing over the long grass. So isn't there anything better than happy horses? They've been in the top paddock only for about a week, but they've been hanging around a bit in the yard, which usually means that they're ready for a new paddock. So this time they've moved themselves. Yeah, nice, lush, thick green grass. Yes, there's weeds through it, but they graze and browse on the weeds as well. So I've kind of really got them trained too now, that they don't really have the opportunity to overgraze the paddock anymore. They're kind of trained to the fact that they just go along and take the tops off of most of the grasses. They don't flog out the short bits very much because they just don't have the chance. So the horses have trained me to when they want to come to a new paddock, but they never ever seem to leave it now until the paddock is completely flogged. They kind of just take the best bits and then they say, come on mum, we want to go into a new one. So I suppose now that they've moved themselves, I'll leave them in this paddock. This is one of the paddocks I ripped last week and planted some new grass seed. We've had rain every single day since I've done that, so I'm crossing my fingers the grass seed does come up. So yeah, let's go over and have a look where I ripped. Here are some of the rip marks. Let's see. Oh yes, there is grass seed coming up. It's very hard to see. You can see the coloured seed, and there's some tiny little tiny little plants coming up. So I'm happy. And there is quite a mixture of grasses in there. Like it has been a while since I bought that seed, so I can't remember exactly, but there would be reclaimer rhodes in there. I'm pretty sure there's Bissett bluegrass. There's probably Varano in there. There could be Seca in there. There was another grass, but I just can't remember what it was. Or there may have been another legume. But like I said, it has been a while since I bought that grass seed, so can't remember. This, as you can see, this particular part of the paddock was mainly cooch. I think there's a bit of Indian cooch through here, as well as just some normal cooch that you get on your front lawn. So that's why I wanted to add some of these rip marks. This was ripped 2 years ago. It just didn't improve. It's been rested an awful lot. This paddock is very rarely grazed, and if I do graze, it's usually only for about a week. But I didn't rip along the middle, between the two middle swales, because there is a big variety of grasses in there. But up the top there was only cooch, and down the bottom on this flat there was only cooch. So hopefully I might have to update you in a few weeks, or maybe even in a month or two, when that grass actually comes up, and we'll see what it is. But the horses walking along these rip marks, they're going to help to cover some of the grass seed, which won't be too bad. But hopefully they're not going to really be in here long enough to compact my rip marks. Plus we've had an awful lot of rain. The rain and moisture has soaked right down deep, and all along the rips is just like a big sponge. Plus, I don't know, we did have that big storm the other night that I was live on. I don't know how much water got filled in these swales, but yeah, it was definitely enough to soak in, plus all the other little showers that we've had in between. So there you go, happy horses, green grass. Here's another weed. This is, I think they call that cobbler's peg, but I'm not quite sure, but I always pull it out. It's awful when it gets caught in their mane. there's a bit of a patch of them here. So I suppose, apart from showing off the horses being really happy in the new paddock and the quality of the grasses that are coming up, have you done your weed walk since the rain? It's really best to do it as soon as you can before the grass gets too long to see the weeds, which is why I've made half an hour to come down to the paddock at the moment. See all this stuff here, all that, and along there, it looks like weed. It looks like one of those awful yucky woody weeds, but it's actually Seca. And it is all along these swales because I planted it. Horses go crazy over it. And you can tell if the horses have been eating Seca because they quite often get a black nose, like they've been eating molasses. Now there's another big patch of cobbler's pegs here that's just about to seed. Right now I don't have the time to pull that out. So I will most likely go and get a little bit of poison and use Amicide, so I'm not killing the grasses, but the Amicide will kill that cobbler's peg or whatever you call it, without killing the grass off. There's another prickle that I found out. This is a starburst prickle or star prickle. That one there, it's actually got some prickles in it. This one also has a very aromatic smell. That's why it's very easy to tell the difference between this one and just a normal weed without a prickle. There's another bush here. I always pull them out because they're the nastiest prickles I've come across apart from your burr. So I've done about an hour's worth of prickle pulling, but it looks like I might have to come along these swales because this is where I'm getting this starburst prickle or star prickle. So yep, when I don't have time to stand around and pull out all the prickles, I will use the Amicide. I use it very sparingly now. I used to use poison all over the place, but it's been 2 years since I've used a lot of poison, so I only use it if I really don't have the time or if I can see a huge patch of prickles that I know I'm not going to get to before they seed, which is what's going to happen there if I don't get to them in the next day or so. So yeah, after all this rain, go out and check out your prickles. It's another one of those starburst things. I usually have a big patch in this round yard, but I have kept an eye on it. I did check it out only about a week ago and there was nothing in there. Usually have some big patches around here, but looks pretty good at a quick look. Another one of those. Oh no, there's one. They're quite easy to pull out by the roots, those star prickles. Some Parthenium, in case you haven't seen that. I'm pretty sure most people are familiar with Parthenium. There's a couple of bushes there. I've just got to remember to take my other prickles with me. I chuck all of my prickles into the wheelie bin and let them go off to a new life at the dump. If they haven't seeded, I will usually just break them off and dump them back on the ground, but if they have seeded, put them into a bucket or a bag and get rid of them. So I hope I've given you a couple of tips about your prickles. Just checking. Back to my bucket, put them in there. And the horses have just about finished that patch off while I've been messing around. So, hope your horses are happy. Hope your paddocks are happy after all that rain. I think we still need a little bit more because my creek hasn't run yet, and it usually runs every summer. The water the other night didn't quite bring it all the way down, just put a couple of feet in the other water hole. So, don't want a cyclone of course, but a little bit more rain would be nice at the moment. I know down south they've had way too much. Yeah, there's my water hole. It's a little pond in the bottom. Okay. Hope you've learned something. See you next time.